everyone, and welcome to this fantastic Friday edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. Rick here in Columbia, and joined by Bronwyn in Charleston and Jill in Myrtle Beach, and we're going to get this party started. All right, the SEC Media Days preseason poll is out. Georgia is picked to win it all. The Gamecocks, where are they? They are number 11. And here's Shane Beamer talking about going into this season as an underdog with low expectations from the outside world.
Yeah, we don't, but certainly I'd be lying to you, and I think all of our players would be lying to you if we didn't hear what people thought about us on the outside. And nobody thinks we're worth a shoot, and that's okay. I mean, all you guys picked us high last year, and the same reasons you picked us high last year, like those same players are back this year, which just blows my mind. Like last year, y'all thought we were going to be pretty good because we had a good season, and we had guys like the three that are here today, and Dylan Stewart and whoever else returning, and you picked us high. Well, all those guys are back, and they're a year older, but everybody thinks we suck. So, it is what it is. We don't pay a whole lot of attention to that. Just kind of leave us alone, let us go to work, and we'll see everybody in September kind of mentality is mine.
Yeah, to go over the top five in the preseason SEC poll, Georgia number 1, Texas number 2, Ole Miss number 3, Texas A&M 4, LSU is number 5. So, ladies, what do you think about the Gamecocks being number 11 and Georgia the pick to be the SEC champion?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what was to be expected with South Carolina, right? I mean, you go 4-8 last season, and you really, after a 9-win season the season before, and last year you're supposed to be so good, and then you can squeak out 4 wins. So I think, like Shane said, I think they feel it. They probably hear all of that, but I think partly they probably figured it was going to be low too. I mean, like I said, four wins. That's it. That's all we get. And Lenore's talked yesterday, and he said he doesn't feel any added pressure, even if everybody else on the outside's kind of pushing in on them. And I think whenever you're ranked kind of low like that, there's a blessing and a curse to it. The blessing is that if you do really well, it's going to be like an astronomical celebration. And the curse is the pressure of you to do well going to help or hurt you? I mean, I think they're right where everyone expected them to be. And if they come out of this and they have a phenomenal season, even just a winning season at this point, I think it's going to probably help Shane Beamer's job, if not save it. Now, obviously, we don't know. But like I said, I think last week they had one of his jobs as one of the most vulnerable just because of what's been going on with South Carolina. So I think it's right where everybody expected them to be, Jill.
I agree. I think you get what you deserve, especially with what happened last year. But I think any person, when they're told that they can't do something, it almost makes them want to do that more. And especially for these athletes who are competing at such a high level, this is going to put a chip on South Carolina's shoulder to prove the SEC and everyone wrong. And if they do that, it's going to make Shane Beamer look even better. So it's kind of a win-win with a no-pressure situation and just being able to go out there and play your game and maybe even take a little bit more risks. I'm not surprised that Georgia landed in that one spot. However, they did get that early exit. I believe it was, the Sugar Bowl against Ole Miss. So it could be a little bit of a conversation there on why Ole Miss is not over Georgia, but votes are votes. That's just how it is, how it lands in the SEC, especially with it being what people deem to be the college football conference. So, no, I'm not surprised that South Carolina landed where they did. It's just a matter of will they use that to fuel the fire for the season. Rick, what are your thoughts on that one?
Well, like I always say, preseason polls just give us something to talk about. The only polls that really matter the ones that happen during the regular season and at the end of the season. But, yeah, the Gamecocks, when you look around the league and you talk to other folks, there's not a whole lot of hope that the Gamecocks will be able to lift themselves up to the upper tier of the SEC and put themselves in contention to win the SEC championship. It's going to take a little time. And also a reflection of that is that they only picked 2 Gamecocks to make preseason All-SEC. You have defensive lineman Dylan Stewart. He makes first team. And then Nick Harbor, wide receiver, makes second team. So only 2 Gamecocks picked for preseason honors. So that kind of gives you an idea what the rest of the media around the league think about the talent level at South Carolina. It doesn't match up to what all the other good teams have, I suppose.
The question is, should Gamecock fans be concerned that only 2 of their players were voted by the media to earn those honors? Should that be a cause for concern for this team? Or does it really, once again, just give us something to talk about? Is that truly a reflection of how this team will look? I personally don't think it's any cause for concern yet, but I could see how Gamecock Nation could be like, okay, wow, all these other teams have all these other votes, and look at us. What do you guys think? Should they be concerned at all a little bit for this one? Rick, I'm curious Bronwyn, I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
I think they already are, to be honest with you. I don't think anything coming out, like, I think if they got 0 players, they would, I mean, you're not going to change the concern level of how South Carolina is going to fare this season. It's just, they were concerned at the end of last season, and I think as we've all kind of beat the dead horse, but like, you get what you deserve at this point. I don't think there's any, I don't think this changed, like, I don't think the fans were like, we should have had more people on the team. I think it was like, honestly, for me, I'm like, well, maybe that's, at least they had 2. They could have had 0, and we still would have been like, yeah, it's, I mean, what did you kind of expect after last season?
Yeah, well, I think there'll be some fans that'll be concerned, and then there are other fans who've been following what Carolina has been doing during the offseason, especially with the transfer portal, the hiring of some new coaches, that they're going to be okay. And then they can use that to really say, hey, look, everyone in the SEC is against us. So they can use that as a motivational factor going into the season. All right, that wraps up the first segment of Palmetto Sports Daily. We're going to call our first time out, and we'll be right back with much more.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. Yesterday wrapped up the final day of SEC Media Days down in Tampa, and it gave us the long-awaited media return of head coach of LSU, Lane Kiffin, after leaving Ole Miss. It was a little, but the main talk of the town with Lane Kiffin during this presser was his 15-plus minute opening statement. Maybe we'll just play that for the rest of the episode, and that will take us all the way through. But, yeah, long-awaited. LSU is going to be playing Clemson in their season opener. Always good to have an ACC-SEC matchup opening up strong. They did play each other last year in the opener of the season. LSU took that matchup. So we'll see right now what we think will head on to the rest of the season. But Lane Kiffin had some stuff to say on how he thought that matchup is going to pair up and how excited he is for the start of this season being a new head coach of a program.
First-year LSU head coach Lane Kiffin with the most attention of anyone here at SEC Media Days, starting his record 3rd different head coaching job in the SEC and 6th head coaching job overall before hosting the Clemson Tigers in the season opener.
Yeah, that's after he left as the leader of Ole Miss before they made their college football playoff run, making it all the way to the national semifinals without him. Kiffin was asked about his reputation of being a coach who gave up on his former team.
For recruits and recruits' parents, I don't think any of them don't see why I did what I did. They want to know how they're coached, how do they fit into the program, what's their NIL deal. I don't ever get asked about that from recruits, from parents.
Clemson coach Dabo Swinney telling us he has a lot of respect for Kiffin's coaching success.
He's demonstrated a great ability to be a big-time head coach. And again, that's why he's got the job he's got. Lane's done an awesome job, and look forward to competing with him. It'll be an unbelievable night. in the valley there in Baton Rouge.
And a linebacker who's played for both Sweeney and Kiffin, T.J. Daugherty, transferring from Clemson to Ole Miss, where he led the entire SEC in total tackles last season, now starting his LSU career with a matchup between both of his Tigers teams.
I had a great time at Clemson, built some great relationships with coaches and staff. I can even call Coach Sweeney now. We could talk right now. I mean, he's awesome. And I don't think the emotions would be too high, just another opportunity to play football, man.
And LSU's 6'7" all-conference tight end Trey'Dez Green with an outstanding description of the Death Valley Duel rematch.
As we all know, Clemson is a great team, a wonderful program. And it's going to be a great, wonderful, and magnificent game, especially in Death Valley with those wonderful fans out there.
Last season in a top 10 matchup at Clemson's Death Valley, LSU won 17-10, but both teams look a lot different since then.
We have much more from SEC Media Days on our website and Fox Carolina mobile app. For now, in Tampa for Palmetto Sports and for Ella Grogan, I'm Carmine Jamay.
That couldn't be more true that both of these teams look very different now than they did last year. But I do expect this to be a very exciting matchup. It's a great one right out of the gate. Sometimes you start off a little bit slower and you're not too excited about the first 2-3 games, but this is going right out of the gate, the Battle of the Tigers out in Death Valley. So what are you guys expecting for this season that might have been a little bit different than last season?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, I'm really excited about this matchup, especially being in LSU's Death Valley, a night game. I've been there several times, and it's one of the best atmospheres in college football. So that's going to be a real challenge for Clemson because when the LSU band, when they take the field, like the hype and the enthusiasm and the energy is already pretty high. But once the band takes the field, it goes even higher, and it just stays there throughout the game, especially if it's a competitive game, a very tightly contested game. But you're right. These are two different teams. It's really going to be tough for Clemson. LSU, they're ranked number 5 in SEC preseason media poll, so that means people expect them to be in the mix for the championship if you're up there in the top 5. So I'm just really looking forward to seeing how the new look Clemson Tigers can handle the new look LSU Tigers, and it's going to be a real tough opening game for Clemson.
Yeah, I think something I'm really interested to see is how Lane Kiffin is going to kind of change the culture of this team. We know LSU has been predominantly just a solid football team, and Lane Kiffin, for all intents and purposes, he comes from that Saban coaching tree. So why did I cut off the G on coaching? I'm turning more Southern here. But he's part of that coaching tree, and I think when you got Lane Kiffin, who is such a dynamic, sometimes a divisive personality as a head coach, that kind of fire and that passion is going to transfer down to a team that historically is already such a passionate fan base and such a passionate team already. ESPN Analytics actually has Clemson losing that one by 11.5 points. I think it could be bigger. I'm gonna hot take this one. I think LSU might go to, I don't know, maybe a 2-touchdown lead on that one. But I think it's, like you said, it's a really fun game. I'm really excited for it just to see how Clemson fares. It's going to be a real test for LSU and Lane Kiffin's first game at LSU. And it's going to be a real test for Clemson and how they're going to handle. I think that's a good way to start a season that's probably sure to be full of some real challenges.
Ron, would I agree with you that the deficit might be a little bit larger than expected? However, I do think that this matchup for an opening game for Clemson is kind of a win-win situation because if they do really well, everyone's going to be talking, is Clemson back? Are they going to have a great season? Now, if they don't do well, all of the attention is going to be on LSU and under Lane Kiffin. So it's a win-win for the Tigers to really go out and just leave it all on the field, but we'll find out when September 5th rolls around for that opening game of the season for both these Tigers team. We got to hit a quick break here on Palmetto Sports Daily.
Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. We're going to talk a little Carolina Panthers football. They're coming into this season off an incredible historic season last season in the playoffs. Can they repeat the success? Well, the first roadblock popped up on day one of camp. Really the news that kind of shocked the world. Nick Scourton going down at camp with an apparent knee injury. Later they said it was a torn ACL. That's a big setback. Big setback for the Carolina Panthers. They already were kind of plagued with the injury bug. You have Taylor Morton at right tackle. He's recovering from a blood clot in his lung. Cornerback J.C. Horn's unavailable. Defensive tackle Bobby Brown III still recovering. So they're kind of already bitten by this injury bug. And then you've got your edge rusher there in goodness gracious, I lost my train of thought. Nick Scourton going down yesterday. And here's what Coach Canales had to say about how day one went after those injuries.
They care about each other. You know, this is whenever you're in a group of people doing something hard together. You know, it's has a way of creating a special bond. And you know, between all the workouts and going through a full season and an off season and all that, you know, it means something to the guys. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that you know, the first thought in guys' minds isn't, you know, are we going to have Nick for the season? It's how is Nick doing? You know, and guys are checking on him.
You know, Nick's our brother. It's when you see someone, you know, down, you know, it's just, first off, it's human nature. You know, we all care. We all feel for him.
All right, so the Panthers, boy, suffering a big loss on the first day of training camp. Nick Scourton, in his rookie year, led the Panthers with 5 quarterback sacks, and if he's done, that's a big void that you have to fill, because you'd love to have a pass rusher who can get to the quarterback, and that disrupts the other team's offense, messes with their passing attack. So they're going to look and try to find some way to make up for that production. And when you look at Bryce Young, you hope that he will continue on the road he started to travel last year as far as improving his overall game.
I think the hope is, especially if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, is that some of those other players, those other starters that Bronwyn was mentioning, can make their way back in, because when you're talking about Nick Scourton, you're not coming back in any time soon from a torn ACL. It's the definition of unfortunate, especially when you're a second year and you're kind of getting your pace and your footing underneath you in the pros, and this could have been and was predicted to be a massive season for him as a second year. So it's very unfortunate, and you could kind of feel it from Bryce Young and the Panthers head coach just even talking about it, the weight and the gravity of the situation. And if you read any articles about what happened on that first day of training camp, you could even feel the weight of the situation when reading the articles. So hopefully he gets better and gets better soon, and hopefully the rest of those starters can work their way back. But I do think that this Panthers team can still be successful despite this early injury bug hitting the Carolinas.
Yeah, and part of that injury bug, Taylor Morton going down at right tackle, and that actually means Oceanside alum Monroe Freeling getting the nod to start at right tackle, at least in camp. They said they feel really good about him at right tackle. He's been predominantly at left, but they feel pretty good about it. Here's Monroe when they told him.
Probably like last week, they told me, you know, after they found out the news of Timo, that I'd be working on the right side, and you know, I was really just psyched for the opportunity. So anywhere they would have put me, I would have been happy to go. And you know, it's just how it is now. Like, I got to step up and be ready. For me, it's just flexibility. It might take a few practices or whatever just to get flexible, because a lot to do with ankle flexibility, hip flexibility. But you know, at the end of the day, it's just football. So I'm going to go and do the same thing I was doing on the left side, just playing ball.
All right, Monroe Freeling. It'll be interesting to see his development during the preseason, and hope he can work his way into some good playing time. All right, that's going to wrap up this segment of Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll come right back and close out this fantastic Friday show. Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily, and the long wait is over. LeBron James finally makes his decision on where he will play next season, and it's going to be with the Philadelphia 76ers. That comes as a surprise to some people. It looks like he was going to be headed either to Golden State or back home to Cleveland. But in LeBron James fashion, he's going with a team where he thinks he will be able to win another championship. And I have to admit, they've got a strong lineup now with LeBron, Joel Embiid. You got Jaylen Brown coming over from Boston and Tyrese Maxey. They are going to be a problem. But there you have it. LeBron James, now a Philadelphia 76er. Bronwyn?
Yeah, I agree that some people were shocked by this decision. I might have been one of those people because I think that if LeBron goes to Cleveland, it's like you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to do any explaining. It's home, if you will. But this is an $8 million 2-year player option contract. The player option part is a little odd to me. However, I do think that he fits very well into this mix of the players that you mentioned, Rick, on this team. The 76ers are a solid team every single year. They make it to the playoffs. It's just they get an early exit. So LeBron clearly thinks that he can maybe give them that little push. They're a team in my mind who, because they are so successful consistently, I thought that they won a championship within the past the year 2000s, but that's actually not the case when I was looking into it. But yeah, it's something that will be very, very exciting to watch this season on how he fits into the mix of these talented players that he's joining.
Yeah, I think the problem they're going to have, they've got the talent, the chemistry. You look at Jaylen Brown, he was coming over like, hey, now this is going to be my team. I can really shine along with Embiid. And now he's got to share the spotlight with LeBron. I see problems. All right. Hey, everyone have a great weekend. This is Palmetto Sports Daily.